got to.
Folks, I've got a new intro and I pressed the old one. I do apologise. I'm going to have to delete the old one. Shall we go again? Are you ready? I'm sorry, okay?
I don't
Kane, it's 1-0. We're fucking down. 13th in the championship. The takeover happened as I said it would. People will be... Oh, when have we got Leeds? Hello then, people. Welcome back to the Just Joe football show. Here we go indeed. That was all right, wasn't it? That was all right.
Proper one.
Yeah. No more screams. No more screams. Exactly. Look, someone said, "Oh, Joe, it's even louder." It might be louder, but it's. There's no scream. All right.
It bumps you up. It bumps you up. You know.
It does, yeah, and hopefully next season's intro we'll have the screen back when we get promoted.
Hopefully.
There we go. Look, some people are just never happy, are they? Look at SP. That's also annoying. Well, do you know what? So many people wanted rid of the screams, and I ignored them for a full season. I'm good. If you don't like this intro, I will also ignore you for a full season till I'm ready for a new one. All right. Listen. Smash a like on the video, subscribe to the channel, get your comments in, and of course, hit that notification bell. Yeah, listen, Andrea, I've had a long day. It's been a long day, man. I'm very, very tired. I can't wait for my I can't wait for my bed, bro. But we've had some news today. I'm a little bit skeptical. The reason I'm skeptical, because this same news publication said that Patrick Vieira was the favourite just last week. So now we're hearing on the grapevine that Daniel Farke is now the favourite. Now, I know that he's mine and yours preferred choices, and I think the majority of the fan base. So, of course, I'm happy about that. Yep. But I do think it has to be taken with a little pinch of salt, because we know that the same publication had Vieira as favourite only a couple of days ago. But when you've seen the news, I'll flash it up, mate, first of all. When we seen the news, this broke on the Daily Mail earlier on today. Basically, can you hear that?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's one of the adverts. Yeah. There you go. It always does it, man. Daniel Farke has emerged as leading candidate for Leeds United job after meeting on Friday with the Germans set to edge out Scott Parker and Patrick Vieira for the role. He apparently had a meeting with us on Friday and, has beat the rest of the punch. So basically says, it goes into his record, etc. But how happy are you, mate, that if this is true, that he's won the race? I for myself, as though I know I'm taking the article with a pinch of salt, because Scott says, Phil A was saying that the 49ers were impressed with Vieira. I was told yesterday Vieira was going to get announced today. It literally shows that even those that are very much high ticket, also no one has a clue, right? No one seems to have a clue. But if this is right, how are you feeling about this news, pal?
Well, I'll be very, very happy, because I think he is the perfect fit for us, because he's got the experience, like we already said multiple times in the past. So, I think he might not have the pedigree of certain other manager or the auras of others, but would be.
But for me, a better pedigree than the rest.
Pedigree, it means of reputation as an aura, because of course he wasn't a established player like Vieira in England or Parker, who was an international in the end. So it might have some, of course, suitors, especially in the English media too. But if you look at the championship, in the end, you have to look at the experience. If you have to look at Farke's record, like I said at the times, looking at our squad, I think he can develop the young players, like he did with Arons and Godfrey. Godfrey and Arons in his first season. In the season they got promoted, actually their first professional season, they went straight from the youth team to the first team and were regulars. They were in the starting 11 in that squad. So with a mix of veterans and young players. So I was already smiling, when you said, how do you feel about the news? Because I think it's a perfect wedding, in my point of view, for both us, the club and the manager.
Yeah, I think as well, like as a fan, I think there's different types of fans, and I'm very much what you call like a passion merchant. I don't know if they have this this nuance in Italy, but someone who's just very like always just feeling vibes and always looking for positives. And I look at the way Daniel Farke can present himself. I mean, look at the thumbnail, the way he's celebrating that goal there. I think he's a manager that I really can get behind as well, like in terms of like just I've seen interviews now, obviously, because it looks like he might get the job. Him speaking after they beat Leeds United 3-1 that season, that they won the league, and just the way he carries himself. I just like him as an individual. Listen, I'm not saying I don't like Patrick Vieira as a player, but as a manager, I've never been his biggest fan. I dislike Scott Parker.
Same.
But yeah, Daniel Farke for me, I don't know. I get a vibe that he'll get it. He understands Leeds United and how big it is, having managed here, having managed teams against us, and knowing how big the club is. I think he'll get it. I think it like you said, it's the perfect marriage, right?
Yeah, exactly. Because like you said, when he got to Norwich, I've watched the interview like you, because I wanted to know. Of course, we remember him because of course we played twice in that season against them, and they battered us at the End Road when Bamford returned and scored that day. And I really like him as an individual, but they have the plus for him, through apart from his tactics, in my point of view, is that he really tries to know and understand the culture of the club. When he gets to Norwich, he tries to understand the history, the culture, and create an environment comprehensive of his mentality, but also the mentality and the past and the history of the club. So trying to mix up the two to create the perfect, link up. And I think he's a manager that can do exactly that. Just like I don't want to fight to why, like Icarus, but I think in a little way, of course, when Marcelo came, Bielsa came, he did exactly that. I think he's the type of manager that tries to understand the city, the people, how the people think, how is the mentality of the club, and I think it's something that plays in his favor. I don't know if Vieira can do that, honestly, because also there's a lot of talk about the fact that he relies a lot on his coaching staff too.
Well, I did a video with D the other day, the Crystal Palace fan.
I saw it.
And he said exactly that. That seems to be all the news. And then I sort of made that same link. It was the same with Gerrard. It was the same with Lampard. A lot of it was given to coaches. And I don't know if it's because maybe their managers did that. I'm not too sure. I'm just trying to think, like, I'm not sure if he's like Mourinho, is he always on the coaching pitch as much, or is it more about his aura and stuff? And does he leave it to other people? And then are these managers trying to do the same? I'm not too sure. But it does seem like a constant theme with these managers that it's the people underneath them that seem to be doing the job,
Yeah, exactly. And of course, I'm totally pro having a long extended the coaching stuff. Of course,
same.
Like Bielsa did that too, but of course he was the epitome of the stuff. Like the press conference when he explained what how we work, after Spygate, and you could see back then that of course he coordinates the work. He doesn't let info and tactics break into him, because of course even in other sports there's the example basketball for another example. The head coach, sometimes there's a coach that are good in game management, but a lot of the work during the week is done by the coaching staff too. Also in the past, in the English game, there were just like O'Leary towards the end of his tenure at Leeds, he used to do a lot of in-game management, but during the week a lot of hard work in the training and the training at the training ground was done by assistants, especially.
For sure. I just want to pull up Daniel Farke's championship record, because LUFC data, which is a great Twitter, big shout out Chris. He's always working hard. He has put together a bit of a stat sheet for Daniel Farke's time in the championship. I mean, you could argue with numbers like this and records like this in the Championship that he's arguably the perfect man for the job. If you want someone to get you out of the division, Daniel Farke's done it twice. And look, he's had 138 matches. That's a lot of experience. Won 71, drawn 33, lost 29, scoring 217 goals. Can see that he has the majority of the possession. Won a massive 251 points with a 51.4% win percentage, which is amazing. Points per game 1.82 at least, or just under 2 games, 2 goals a game. 3 seasons in total during that time, winning 2 championship titles, 1 manager of the month, 1 manager of the season, and 1 LMA manager of the season, and accumulated a club record 97 points with Norwich in 2020-21. 4-2-3-1 system was a major success with Norwich in the second tier. I think to win in the EFL once is tough enough, but to do it twice, and to do it with such a good style as well. And I get maybe, you know, looking at the future and the Premier League, but it's all about the here and now, right, Andrea? And for me, we need to get out of the division. We cannot, you know, afford to stick around. And with stats like that, then you got to make it happen, right?
Exactly. We can't think too far. And especially a lot of people tend to overestimate, of course, the level of that Norwich squad. That Norwich squad, you know, they brought in players from the German leagues, you know, that are Tribal, Stiepermann, Zimmermann, you know, those players, of course, became known after Norwich got promoted, but at the time they were unknown to most in England. And they were cheap signings too. So he developed the squad. He developed, brought in players and, you know, made them better. Just like Bielsa did with us. You know, I think that the two teams that developed the most apart from Sheffield United back then were Norwich and Leeds. Apart from Leeds, of course, Sheffield United and Norwich. And I think that plays in his favor, of course. And apart from that, you know, the first time they got promoted in 2018, 2019, 94 points, 27 wins, 13 draws and 6 losses, 93 goals scored, 57 conceded. And yeah, I made my research too today, actually. So, you know, if you look at the squad that they had.
So just to jump in on that, though. So, like, obviously, 2020-21, he gets 97 points. And in 18-19, he gets how many? 93?
94.
Yeah. Come on. That's amazing, right?
And considering the fact that the season before they finished 13 in his first season in England, he had to adapt and understand the game, of course. They didn't have a powerful squad like the... not powerful, actually. A squad with a lot of depth like they did when they got promoted the first time, the season before, when he came to England. And you have to consider, too, that the only clubs that he managed before coming to England were Lippstadt, where he retired as a player and then became the manager, and the youth teams of Borussia Dortmund when Klopp was there, actually. So adapting so fast to the English game, well, it certainly has to be considered. You know, it took him 1 season to understand properly the league. Then he won it with 94 points this season after. And, you know, 4-2-3-1 is a formation that we used to, that we expect that formation right now. It is getting, you know, a synonym of Leeds. Like, it's like a synonym of Leeds, like this type of formation, 4-2-3-1, because we played that a lot under Bielsa. 4-1-4-1 and 4-2-3-1. And if you look at the squad the first time, Kroll, Aarons, Godfrey, Zimmermann, Lewis, then 2 holding midfielders, Tete and Tribal, Buendia on the right, Stiepermann in the middle, and Nandels on the left, and Pukki as the lone striker. But if you look at those players, a lot of them, like Stiepermann, Leitner from the bench, Rancic, and McLean, and, you know, those players are versatile. You know, a lot of them used to play as advanced midfielder, but also can play back. And Cantwell could play on the left, could play in the middle. You know, he's a versatile manager too. Yeah. And the second time they got promoted, actually, you know, he used to play a lot. Sorensen on the left, but also as an holding midfielder. So he plays with athletic squad sometimes, but he tends to, have players and bring in players that can play in various positions. So there's versatility and there's always freedom on the ball.
Yeah, and I think the important thing as well with I mean, Norwich did good business in the Championship for sure. Bringing in Pookie from Celtic, Buendia, etc., which they got for next to nothing. So they did do good business, and I guess that's a tip to both Farke and to Webber. And the more I think about it, the more
And Scott too, I think, because I think Scott, like we said another time,
the guy at Middlesbrough,
a prominent role behind the scenes.
Yeah.
Then when he left, Webber didn't do that well without this chief scout.
Yeah. And now Borough are doing really well, aren't they? So maybe he had a bigger part to play than what a lot of people thought. But I think they did do good business in the Championship. But I would argue, on the face of it, Leeds United should have more money to play with. And if we, I mean, I do have a lot of faith in Nick Hammond. I do, just based on what he did at Newcastle. He's also worked at Celtic, which is a huge club. So I have faith in him. And I also, for me, Farke's the number one choice. I think when we whittled it down initially, it was Corberan. And then for me, when he got sacked from Mönchengladbach, it was very much like, this is the guy. This makes perfect sense, And with some backing, and there is going to be, changes at the squad. We are going to lose players. But I just think with his knowledge of the league, and hopefully with Nick Hammond steering the ship, that there is a big chance that Leeds United, I mean, we're second favourite or in terms of the odds, we're going to finish second behind Leicester, but we'll see what Maresca's like. And that's the odds. Anything could happen. We could go on a terrible run. But we've got a great start to the season in terms of fixtures. We just found out Cardiff can't buy anyone. Because they've been fined for I don't think they paid a compensation payment to the guy
Emiliano Sala,
Sala, that's it. So they're not going to be able to do much business, and were terrible last season. So everything, although it's not been announced yet, and I know it's been slower than we all probably anticipated, but is it starting to make you feel a little bit more positive and feel like it's going in the right direction? And like, I can get giddy over the smallest things when it comes to Leeds United, but
especially right now, because we're on the weight.
And
but like I said, I think that when the takeover gets official, and either the takeover gets official or either they appoint the manager first, I think it will feel like the openings of Pandora's box. Just like the thing that gets the car rolling. We turn on the engine and go after that. So I think it'll be very fast. Actually, we said that yesterday, and today I read also an article on the YUP, and they were saying exactly almost the same. So I think we had a good photography, a good picture of what is going to happen actually. So I think all the pieces are then falling together. Getting back together after either the first appointment of the manager or the takeover gets official, of course. And the takeover is lining, is hanging for a lot of time right now.
It is. I mean, it looks like it's definitely going to be. It's going to be Monday, isn't it? We're not going to get an announcement from the EFL over the. Yeah, it's going to be next week now. Steve Smith put a super chat in and said Steve Bruce presented to us via Zoom last week. Never went further, thankfully. I mean, if Steve Bruce got the job, I think we'd have all gone down to Welland Road with pitchforks, probably.
Yeah,
that'd have been bad, right?
Yeah, because like they said, they have assembled all the stats regarding the managers that have got promoted in the last 20 years or so. So Steve Bruce got up with the Al City. Probably they've analyzed that for that, but it's like Allardyce in certain points.
Yes,
he's an old school manager, and of course I think they didn't treat him well at Newcastle. Considering the squad that he had at the time, it's very different squad from right now. They were really harsh on him, honestly.
And he managed Sunderland as well, didn't he? So I think there's that as well.
Yeah.
So. Yeah, but I think a lot of it's linked to Mike Ashley as well. I think anyone who was associated with Mike Ashley was not going to be well thought of. But Colin Kerwin says he needs backing with players and some money, which I think he will be. Seems to have a good background team and a bit of passion. Hopefully we get some news on Monday. Yeah, we don't want it. It has to be next week, doesn't it, Andrea? Because the week after, literally,
Pre-season.
is pre-season on the 3rd, which is next month, not this Monday coming, but the Monday after. It's pre-season. So you want the players to be walking in the door to a new manager who's shaking their hand and saying, welcome, welcome, sit down, this is what we're going to do. Because if you don't, then these players that maybe are thinking, like Cree Somerville, for example, I think he, under Farke, these players, they can flourish, you know, they can play in his system. It's going to be exciting football. If they have like 40%, they might stay. If the manager's not in the door when they return, they're going to think, oh, what's going on here? Whereas if they come in and Daniel Farke's like, right, this is what we're going to do. We're going to win the league. We're going to do this. Then that's a massive, like, positive boost that you would get in and around the ground, right?
Yeah, right. Absolutely. Because, you know, players want stability and certainty. So the longer this silence goes on and the manager is in a point, of course, players are starting to look for other solutions. You know, we've seen lots of rumors regarding other players, apart from Somerville. So you know, it is in the end it's a business too. So the agents are looking for other solution if they don't see what's really going on, what's the plan, what's the main target for the season at Leeds. So yeah, of course, I think next week we'll have answers because, like you said, the week after the players are starting to have, you know, the tests, and then the real training starts again, you know, on the 2nd or the 3rd of July.
Yeah, exactly. And Paul said it's only 4 p.m. in San Francisco. Plenty of time yet. I think, to be fair, I do believe the club were working on American time. I got told that on the walk that people who were close to people at the club were working on American time. But we know that Parag is over in England currently because obviously he's been doing his interview. So I don't think they're working on that time anymore. I don't know. Maybe they're not. But I think they've been interviewing. I think you'd imagine that contracts will be getting drawn up and stuff. And hopefully, you know, we'll get a sign on the dotted line. Maybe we might hear something, not official, but if Farke gets the job and signs the contract, then Farke starts to talk to people. Then his agent starts to talk to people. Then there's, I see he's coming over to England. So then we might start to get more leaks, right? Because you can only keep this sort of stuff so tight under wraps for so long until someone gets the job, and then Farke speaks to someone in England who he knows or he's worked with him before. You know how journalism works. It's like, I was told this, told this, and then you've got a story saying Farke's got the job. You know, so
yeah, they're probably trying to get his number, the journalist, you know, and try to call him or his agent to get some information, you know, unofficially. In the future, it works like that when there's a rumor, you know, you have to try to get in contact with the rumored appointment. Try to get info for him, but you know, usually when you call them, they say I cannot speak, and when they said I cannot speak, usually there's something boiling, you know.
Yeah, no, exactly. We've had a bit of transfer news as well over the last couple of hours. Obviously, I did a video earlier on. Tyler Adams is wanted by Aston Villa and Brighton. With clubs like that knocking, mate, especially when you consider Villa are in the Conference League and Brighton in the Europa League, do you think there's any chance we can keep him, or do you think, like for me, when a club like Villa comes knocking, they're a massive club. They've got an amazing manager. They're in Europe. I think he'll go, right? Well, I don't know what your thoughts are.
Yeah, I think he'll go, but I think the best solution might be Brighton more than Aston Villa in my point of view, because especially with the void left
Caicedo
by exactly. So. If they saw Caicedo too, and with the style of play, because I really like the Zerbi as a manager, and I think Adams can flourish under him. And with the international competition, you know, the Copa America, the international competition with the USA, you know, on the line, and they also have the World Cup next.
Exactly.
In 2026. and he's the captain. I think it will try to get to the top level. He's not ready for that level yet, of course, because after the World Cup, there were, especially here in Italy too, Inter Milan interested in Adams. Clubs playing in the Champions League, but at Leipzig he struggled too. So
yeah,
I think before the injury he had his best season at club football. With Leeds.
Do you know what? As much as I love Adams as well, I do think his poorest quality, and I used to say this all the time on videos, and people would tell me I'm wrong, but I think his passing leaves a lot to be desired. Personally, I do really love him and I do really rate him, but he's not, for me, an in possession type of DM, like Calvin, for example, who could get the ball and spray passes out wide. Adams, for me, is very much breaking up the play and giving it to someone who can play. He's not that guy who can play. I don't know what your thoughts are. So I think in a Farke, look, in the Championship, he would rip it up, no doubt. But I just think if Leeds are gonna play a possession style of play, is he the best player for that fit anyway?
Well, I agree with you, because I think his main characteristic is the defensive type of player. He is, because he chases the ball. He's very good with the tackling, the tempo, of course, of the tackling. And I think he plays well when he has a player like the type of Calvin, playing alongside him. And at the start of the season, actually, when Roca and Adams were playing together, in that famous month of August, we looked pretty good.
Yeah.
Then, with the injury of Adams, like what happened with Phillips, the previous season, we lost a key player in terms of the defensive side of the game, because he doesn't have good vision, compared to other players, of course.
No, he doesn't. No.
His passing needs to be better, of course, needs to develop. But if you look at the intensity, the defensive side of his play, of course, is crucial. And it's just he is not too vertical in terms of passing. Goes horizontal a lot, trying to get to the other two midfielders around him, usually when he plays in a three midfield like in the USA. And he needs to develop, of course, because he's not at the top level yet. Of course, he's been linked in the past with clubs playing in the Champions League abroad too, but he's not at the level that he can reach that level. Yeah, if he develops his other side of his game, especially going forward too.
Yeah, someone just asked a question there as well about this one. Duncan says, are the 49ers more likely to play hardball when requesting? I do not know the answer to that question, but it's one thing I'm quite looking forward to seeing, because we know with Leeds United and Radrizzani, because he didn't have much money, when the opportunity to cash in was there, we've seen with the Calvin deal, we've seen with the Rafinha deal, I think other clubs would have got much more than what we ended up getting for them players. But because Rads wanted that money up front, he wanted to reinvest it, he took lesser deals. They can dress it up of, Calvin only wanted to go to one, Rafinha only, and that might be true, but come on, you still could have squeezed more money out of them. And I look at other clubs, look at Leicester, how they're operating with Maddison, for example. Yeah. So I am quite excited to see if the 49ers are, an outfit that will say, no, you're not getting him at that price. If you want him, you've got to pay X, Y, Z, because he's on a 5-year deal. We'll keep him here. So what are your thoughts on that? Are you excited by maybe that being the prospect?
I hope they operate in that way, like Leicester have made clear they will do. With Maddison and Barnes especially. I hope they do that way with the players that don't have a release clause, because there's players that have a release clause and there's nothing you can do there. Like Rodrigo and other key players on the squad, and that's the legacy Horta is leaving behind. But for other players, especially, just like I'm thinking. For example, Somerville after his latest declarations, what he said today, or other players like Adams too.
Do you know what? I guess I'll throw in here, right?
Yeah.
Gio Rutta, okay? We paid 30 million for potential, right?
Yeah.
You look at Willie Nonto, right? You would argue there's bags of potential there, Okay, he's nowhere near the finished article. But I would never expect Leeds United under the old guard to be able to command a fee of 30 million for a player that has potential, whereas we were the club that was willing to pay that. Does that make sense? So it'll be interesting to see, say, if someone did come in for Gnonto, if they went, well, if you want him, you're going to have to pay X, Y, Z, you know?
Yeah, absolutely. Because right now, I think Gnonto could be valued around the real value 20-25 millions in my point of view. But if we reason like you said about potential, like often did with us, you can try to talk about a fee maybe around 30-35 million, like often did with Rutter, because Gnonto was playing in the Premier League. I was having a good start of the season. Rutter was playing as a winger in the Bundesliga,
and he's got
and we played 35.
Yeah, exactly, and he's got Gnonto's got much better numbers as well. Like Rutter didn't score. You know, Gnonto's gone to Old Trafford, for example, and scored the opening goal. Do you know what I mean? These are big moments in a young player's career. You know, so Somerville scoring against Liverpool, etc. All these moments, you know, that it's far and away much bigger than what Rutter did at Hoffenheim, for example, like you said. So
Hoffenheim are a club like that, actually, because of course there's a lot of protest about their ownership too in Germany, because they're like not compared to RB Leipzig, but their owner has they don't really abide sometimes by the 50+1 rule of the German ownership. So there's a lot of protest for the other club. But they are a club actually for this reason. They have a quick structure. And if you want one of their players, this is the price. And we're not selling until unless you met the price. And I think it's better for clubs like mid clubs like Hoffenheim in the German Bundesliga. They operate like that. And we should really start to do the same in England, because of course, in terms of fan base, in terms of history, we are a big club. No doubt about 100%. That. But realistically, right now we are a championship club and a mid-table club. And if you look at the other clubs, you know, they asked the fee, and until they didn't receive that fee, they didn't sell. Like Brighton, Caicedo, for example.
Brighton are amazing.
Cucurella too.
Even with Ben White, they could have sold him to us for 30. They said no, they got 50 the next year, you know. So they definitely know what they're doing. There's been a report over in your home country of Italy, just some more stuff on the Diego Laurente stuff. Do you want to share that with us, pal?
Yeah, actually, Di Marzio has basically said that the deal with Laurente is getting done. Another loan move back to Italy again for him. Right now, what we know is that is a loan again, not a permanent deal. But they were negotiating about the option to buy or the mandatory, of course, obligation to buy. So we need to keep an eye on that and see what they have agreed. You know, I hope actually, as a fan, that is an obligation to buy, but I don't think it will. Realistically, if I have to look at the business side of it, because we need to try to get his wages off, you know, first of all. Can't hear you right now. Can you hear me?
Yeah. No, I can hear you. I've just muted myself because the dog's snoring.
No, on the business side of it, of course, you know, we risk to lose a player in the future, of course, a player that we played a lot compared to his real value. Right now, his real value is around 8 million euros, you know. And
what did we pay? Like 15 or something? Or 18, was it? 18 maybe?
Yeah, 18 probably. 18 it was actually, I think. But if I have to look at the business side of it, of course, the deal for both parties, the best deal, you know, Leeds needs to get Laurente out of the squad because, of course, he won't play in the championship. They don't have many offers, of course. No. He likes the destination because he's already been there this season. So, of course, another long move. But Roma, of course, he'll be a substitute. It won't be in the starting 11. They've just bought in Ndicka too. Indicatu from Eintracht Frankfurt, and they have Ibanez, Mancini, and Kumbulla, and of course there's Smalling too, who has just renewed this contract. So he'd be a substitute, a squad player. Yeah. So I think we risk the fact that he'll come back next season too. But if the fee is low, they maybe can sign him. But looking at the fact that he's going to be a substitute, I think the option to buy will be around 5 to 8 millions, under 8 million too.
I guess Victor Orta's left us in such a shit place, hasn't he, with this stuff? Do you know what I mean? It's so bad when you think about it. I don't know if you've seen this, pal, because this is also being reported coming out of Italy. Leo Hilda potentially, going to. I always struggle to say this. Salernitana, is it?
Almost get it. Salernitana, yeah.
Salernitana, yeah. Salernitana. So apparently, they're interested in taking Leo Hilda on a permanent basis after his good season at Rotherham. Would you like to see him stay, or what's your thoughts on that?
Well, I like the player, but when we did the video, the pod about keep or sell, with the other guys, with the other lads, I was divided between keeping him in the squad because I like the player is physical. I think he's a centre back mainly, not left back.
Yeah,
it's like the strike debate. He's a centre back or the left back. I think they're both for left-footed centre backs. I was divided between keeping him or loaning him out for another season. But if a good offer comes, I think they'll consider it. But I like the player, so I would like to keep him at Leeds. Honestly, maybe loaning him out for another season, but we have to convince the player back then that you have a path for him in the future in the Leeds squad, especially if we get back to the Premier League.
That's what I'm saying. And if we do, is there a future there for Leo? Do you know what I mean? Because
I don't know. Yeah, exactly.
That's the thing, isn't it? As good as he's been, but there's a difference between playing at Rotherham and having a few good games to being a starting. Is he going to be a left centre back? Is he going to be a left back? I'm a bit like you. If there's the opportunity and the money's there, then you take it, because we're going to need a new left back anyway. Ideally, we get 2 new fullbacks if we can't keep Cody. For me, 2 good fullbacks. Look at the fullbacks that Farke had at Norwich. Jamal Lewis. I forget who else was the other one, but they played a certain. They used a lot, the fullbacks. You know what I mean? So we definitely need them. I've seen an article here. Apparently, according to the Daily Mail, Leeds United were going to see a lot of exits. One of them, Rodrigo, Nonto, Sinistera, Adams, goalkeeper Melier. But they've also mentioned Patrick Bamford as Max Aarons. Yeah, Jamal Lewis, Max Aarons, sorry.
Yeah, Max Aarons.
Patrick Bamford exit. I mean, do you see anyone coming in for Patrick? I don't see anyone coming in for Patrick Bamford, surely.
No, right now, I don't think. If someone came,
where would he go? There's nowhere for him to go.
Yeah, after
I got rid of you then. Sorry, mate.
After 3 seasons in the Premier League, I don't see him leaving actually and going to a lower mid championship club. Maybe offers will come, but I don't think he'll accept the solution. The player on the player side, especially because I really think he'll stay and the club will keep him and he'll be one of the backup strikers in the number 9 position. Hopefully, because I don't see him starting, honestly, and I hope they don't start right now because he needs to find his form back. And if Farke comes in, of course, I think we'll have a more mobile and versatile striker playing at front. But we need to have, like they did have.
You need to have options, right? You need to have
options and different characteristics because when they had Pukki under Farke, they had the first season Rhodes.
Yeah, Jordan Rhodes.
And Jordan Hoggill the next time they got promoted. Different characteristics from Pukki, alternatives.
And if you think about probably the minutes of Jordan Rhodes and Jordan Hugel, they were probably few and far between. Can Bamford do that? Yes, he can. Yes, he can. Absolutely. He can still have a part to play. I know a lot of Leeds fans will say get rid, etc., but you can't get rid of everyone. He's on a bit of money. The facts are his injury record. Listen, if people were knocking down the door to sign him, sell him. But the facts are they're not going to be.
Yeah.
No one in the Championship would even take Bamford and probably couldn't afford him in terms of his wages and stuff. So
yeah,
I think,
exactly.
you know, he's with us until he probably runs his contract out, to be honest.
Yeah, probably. Because, you know, if you look at the top clubs in the Championship that will challenge for the playoffs, or they will challenge to for promotion, you know, maybe even if Coventry side got Gyökeres, you know, will they bring in Bamford? It isn't a lot of money too. So, like you said, could they afford this contract? Could they accept a solution like a mid-table club, you know, or a club that is trying to establish itself, trying to challenge maybe late for the playoffs like Millwall too? I don't know, honestly. After 3 seasons in the Premier League, give you an England Cup on his second one. So, you know, he had a double figure season in our first season back in the Premier League.
Yeah.
Going from the Premier League to a lower mid-table club on the player's perspective, it's not easy. So I don't think he'll accept those solutions. It's a different situation compared to the one of Tyler Roberts. You know, he played a season on loan in the Championship.
Yeah.
Didn't went well for him. Injuries included too. So he knew that he had to start back from the bottom for the lower mid section of the table, and he actually found a good solution in Birmingham City, because there's a club with not a lot of money. Of course, they've been taken over that now, but I think that their first season with under the new ownership, you know, with I think it's called Wagner, the new owner. They'll try to establish and maybe go for a mid-table finish, and then maybe invest some money next season to the season after to try to challenge for the playoffs, because this owner seems to have the clear ideas, actually.
Yeah. It's I keep saying this all the time, but it's gonna eventually get really, really busy. I feel like we'll probably be talking maybe 2-3 times a day some days, mate. When news starts to break. But it does look like at the minute we're just waiting for the EFL to sign it off. Once they sign it off, then hopefully Daniel Farke will be announced. And then 1st of July, next Saturday, and we'll probably start to see exits, and then we'll get some more proper, juicy, credible links to who Leeds United are bringing in. We'll probably need a couple of keepers. We definitely need a couple of midfielders. We definitely need a number 9. We'll see what.
There's a lot of work to do. Yeah.
We'll have to see what wingers are staying, what we need. Yeah. So
no, we trust Hammond. Yeah.
Yeah, I definitely do. I definitely
like
do.
Said.
Yeah, for sure.
Well, on the stage, mate, where I'm looking like 2 times a day on Company's House to see if the transfer share is becoming official, because, you know, I think, like I said yesterday, the legal fact that Radz is still technically the owner until it gets done, and yet they have to consult him. They will have consulted him. They have surely consulted him for Nick Hammond, because legally it's still the majority owner of the club until they transfer the shares and it gets officially approved. So I think it's still the process that facts slow down the whole process too. Apart from the different model of recruitment that they use in the US, you know, and like we said yesterday, I really hope that, of course, they evaluating the candidates very, very strictly with a lot of data, AI, like we said yesterday. But I really hope that going forward, especially with the advisor position of Nick Hammond, they understand that football is really different, especially in Europe, from how you run an NFL franchise, an NBA franchise. You know, someone asked me on Twitter actually this, and of course, the American sports are totally different. There's no relegation. They have the salary cap. They can do trades because the contracts are with the league, not with the franchises, so they can trade the players, of course. And there's also tons of other rules. They also the draft. You know, when they draft the players at the start of every season. So a club can plan a season to tank. They call it tanking, in order to get a better pick in the draft. And rebuild the squad. So if you have a bad season, there's no problem. You rebuild the next season. It's not like in Europe you have a relegation.
Yeah.
If you have a bad season again, you go down again in European football. That's the ultimate judge, the minosis of football.
Yeah, that's why we love it, man. That's why we love it. The jeopardy,
Yeah.
the jeopardy.
Yeah.
Right, mate, we've been going 45 minutes and I need my bed, and I'm sure you need some rest as well. Listen, folks, make sure you smash a like on the video. So, go over and check Andrea's Twitter out as well, and he'll probably be back with us tomorrow. I know I can always count on him to come and talk Leeds United. Enjoy the rest of your evening. I think the Arctic Monkeys are not doing well by all accounts, according to Twitter. They're speeding up songs, slowing down songs. So
really,
I don't know.
I like them a lot.
Yeah,
actually.
I love them, bro. I've seen them a couple of times, but yeah, a lot of people are saying, "What are they playing at?" So I don't know. If you're enjoying that, enjoy that. I'm gonna go to bed. Andrea's probably gonna do the same, and we'll probably see you tomorrow evening. Thanks, folks, and
thank you, lads. Dankeschön.
Yeah, Dankeschön. Yeah, Dankeschön. Farke.
Or merci. Or merci. We'll see.
Right, folks, I'm going to end the stream. We'll